we've had COP28, we've had these insistences from governments that we will need to triple renewable energy in the coming decade. These are huge demands in a way placed on you. So when we talk about a critical mineral strategy, what for you really comes to the fore? I mean, what is the key for this to work?
For myself?
No, sorry, for Stuart.
Thank you, David. I think everybody at this conference is very clear about the need for accelerating the mining, the processing, and the provision of minerals in the world to not only decarbonize the world, but to for the developing economies of the developing world. I think that's a given. I'd like to, if I may, I'd like to leave a message to those developing the strategy for this super region, and that is one based on Anglo-Americans' decades of experience of investing in and developing and running mines and processing in Africa. A lot was talked yesterday about at the Ministers' Roundtable about this key cooperation between the public sector and the private sector. I would like to offer a thought to those developing the strategy. We need to be a lot better than that. We need to do a lot more than that. And public and private sector have to work together to confront their own policies, be prepared to amend them where necessary, in order that all of the prospective developments actually continue to be developed, don't get stopped. And the one thing I'd like to do is just use a very short example of that, David, which is in a mine that has been around for a while. We're expanding in Africa, and in the process of doing, like many of you here, we need it to be based on carbon neutrality, and we need renewables. The state monopoly, which provides electricity, has a hell of a lot of priorities and wasn't able to prioritize that particular infrastructure at the time needed. So what do? Do we stop the development? That would be a great shame if we're trying to accelerate. So the only possibility is that the state monopoly confronts its policy and allows that development to generate its own. But then, coming to the super region, it's not enough to do that because it's not economic. So you need to develop renewables, not just for that mine, but for the communities and for other mines. And that becomes a joint venture. It has to be funded. You need all these parties to come together. And by the way, this is a real example that's happening. It's not theory. But the great thing about the super region is how it puts all these various parties together so much more readily and easily because the case has been established. And that's the message I would like to leave.
But the time frame is so tight. And I mean, everyone says mining takes time, but so do changes to regulatory structures, the sort of laws that need to be put in place to enable some of that.
But in our experience, what takes time is delay because people believe that they have to continue to operate within their own policy and their own framework. I think if there's a real preparedness to confront both the private sector and the public sector, their policies and approaches, and not to say, well, we do the mine, you do the hospital, you do the road. It's never as simple as that. People need to be flexible, or a lot of these exciting developments will simply get delayed. So it's this mindset, for me, David, that creates the delay, not the actions themselves.
You've given examples of, or you said there are projects out there to ensure you're looking after the communities, that you're actually building the economy beyond just the mining. But that is a clear concern that we've heard, not just this morning, but time and again in the ministerials as well.
No, sure, but and you talked earlier about the conflict, and isn't this all, too difficult? And the solace I always get from this is if companies, employees, and the employees of, in the ministries and in the public sector bodies who are collectively trying to make all this happen, if they believe we're doing the right thing, and the right thing is being done and gone about in the right way, it's extraordinary how powerful that is. And we have that example in a mine we developed in Peru, where our predecessors did an enormous amount of work, 15 years before we even started the mine, with the communities and with the regional authorities and so on. And I think we haven't always got that right as a company. In that case, we got it absolutely right, and it's worked a dream. And I think if you get all of that right, the rest will follow. And on funding, Minister Ali, I think I'm speaking for funders, which is a bit cheeky, but they're going to look for the risk-reward being in balance, but they're also going to look at the eyes of the public sector and the private sector and the joint venture partners And they're going to be looking for that light being on and the eyes shining because people are committed to do this. That's going to give them the confidence to proceed. The challenges, absolutely, they have to be met. The strategy has to address those, and they're there. But as I'm repeating myself, where there's a common will, there's a way, always.